Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Frankly Speaking Sports. I'm your host, Larry Franken. Tonight, folks, if you are watching this film on this actual broadcast on YouTube, we are live on YouTube. If you are watching it on YouTube, but from another site, most likely this is a recording of tonight's show. For those of you folks that are listening tonight, we want to welcome you. This is the first time we are only broadcasting live on YouTube. And we are about 30 minutes away from having former outfielder, 1985 All-Star, Philadelphia Philly, right fielder Glenn Wilson will be joining us. But before we get to baseball news, which is primarily what we are going to talk about tonight, we want to start off, unfortunately, with some very sad news. If you're a Buccaneer fan or you follow the Buccaneers, you definitely know this individual, and I've known this individual for a long time, and that is Mark Cook, pewter reporter for the last 10 years, suddenly passed away today. We are just so sorry to hear the news. You know, as far as Mark and I go, I have known Mark for about a couple of years now. Most of our communication has been through text. You know, we've been trying to get him on this show for about a year now. Me and him have been trying to work out a schedule where he could come on. And, then we got the sudden news today about Mark's sudden death, and we want to just say how sorry we are here at Frankly Speaking Sports. And, you know, for all the Buccaneer fans and his family, we send out our prayers to you. And, you know, for those of you who knew Mark, I mean, well-respected guy throughout the community for the job that he just did. He loved the Buccaneers. He loved sports, and he was always willing to talk to you about it. So Mark Cook was 50 years old, and we're just so sorry to hear the news here today on Frankly Speaking Sports. As far as the rest of the evening goes, we're going to be talking a lot about baseball. We're going to have Glenn Wilson on. And, you know, it's always tough, folks, to start a program out like that. And it's just unfortunate that such a great man like Mark had to leave us at such a young age. And like I said, he surely will be missed. As we continue our show, we're going to talk some baseball. And, the Rays, if you have not noticed, and let me get my handy-dandy phone here in a minute. But if you haven't noticed, they were in a big 3-game series with the Boston Red Sox for first place. And when this series started the other night, I told everybody the Red Sox need to win at least 2 of 3. They won the first game, got humiliated in the second game, and then at 4 o'clock this afternoon, they played the third game of the series. We knew if the Rays would win today or win 2 out of 3, they would go on to Minnesota with a 5-game lead in the American League East. And, you know, for a while it was a tight ball game. Very, very tight ball game throughout the game. And then, Wander Franco goes ahead up. I don't know what I hit there. Sorry about that, folks. Wander Franco comes up, and let's see what Wando did when he came up to plate.
Into center field, well hit. Duran's going to turn around, look up, and that ball is high off the wall. I think it was to the left of that yellow stripe. Franco thought it was gone. Wow, goes to third. Kevin Cash wants to have this perhaps looked at, see if the umpires could get together. Now to the left, that ball's in play. To the right of that yellow line, it's gone, and it did appear to be just to the left of that line.
It did, but then
And that was ruled a home run, by the way, folks. So the Rays went on to a 4-1 lead. And what a shot. I mean, that straightaway center field at Fenway Park by Wando Franco. And just incredible. But it wasn't over yet. The man who's been on a comeback tear that made the All-Star game for the Tampa Bay Rays came up and sealed the victory tonight for the Tampa Bay Rays. And that would be Mike Zunino.
Mike Zunino. He sends one high and deep, and that one is gone. Zunino with his 23rd home run of the year, a 3-run blast to make it a 4-run inning.
And that's what it was. And the Rays went on to win 8-1. So they take 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 this team takes from the Boston Red Sox. And if you look up the standings in the American League East, the Tampa Bay Rays have won 7 of their last 10 ball games. They now have a 5-game lead. That's right, a 5-game lead on the second place Boston Red Sox and a 6.5 game on the New York Yankees, who are losing tonight right now in the Field of Dreams game by a score of, I believe it's 9-3 or 7-3, something in that area. Should the Yankees lose tonight, they'll be 7 games behind the Rays. So things are looking for the Rays, and you got to give the Rays a lot of credit. This is a team that has had a lot of pitching really being hurt on this team, and yet they're still finding a way to win. A closer by committee, and they're still finding a way to win. Now, don't get me wrong. Nelson Cruz has been a big, big plus since coming over from the Minnesota Twins, who they play tomorrow night, Saturday night, and Sunday. Now, one thing you got to remember, folks, if you're a Tampa Bay Rays fan, you just won 2 out of 3 from the Boston Red Sox. You got to go into Minnesota and at minimum win that series and win 2 out of 3. You like to go ahead into that series and take 3 games, but 2 out of 3 on the road in Minnesota before coming home would be terrific. Want to welcome Tommy from Lutz, Florida now. He's from Lutz, Florida. Want to welcome our show. Folks, we are only on, and I repeat, we are only on YouTube tonight. So if you are listening to our show, go ahead. We have an incredible show for you tonight. If you haven't heard, we will have Glenn Wilson on, former All-Star outfielder for the Philadelphia Phillies, joining us in about 20 minutes. We've been talking Tampa Bay Rays baseball. And, the other night we talked about a couple of teams that I told you to watch out for. I told you to watch out for one of those teams, and we'll start in the American League West. When you look at another division that is pretty tight, it has to be the American League West, where the Houston Astros are actually up on the Oakland A's by a game and a half after the A's just ran away. I believe the final score in that game, let's check it out and see if I'm right. I believe it was 17-0. That's right, 17-0. And I'll tell you what, this is a team that I told everybody, you better watch. There was 2 teams I told you to watch out for. One of them was the Oakland A's. I said, every single year, they come back in the second half of the season. They do it every single year. And this is what happened again. The only good thing this year is they didn't play that poorly in the first half, so they don't have to make up as much ground. But here's a team, they won their 6 in a row. They've won 10 out of their last 12. They're a game and a half back. And today was no different. And it was definitely in Keith Moreland's hand today as he led the Oakland A's to a 17-0 victory.
Just trying to get back to where you were.
Moreland smokes one to right, and that baby's gone. Speaking of home runs, Moreland a line shot for his 8th home run of the year, and it's 6-0. first home run today for the Athletics. It's their fourth home run in this series.
Mitch Moreland knew it off the bat, and 107 off the bat. Mitch Moreland just absolutely laced that baseball. Oh, no.
Well, you get him at harvest time. Moreland with another drive, and that baby is gone.
Yep, 2 home runs today by Moreland to lead this Oakland A's team. Like I said, 1.5 games behind in the AL West. That's Bob Melvin. What a great job he's done with this team. Jed Lowry last night hits a 3-run homer to win it. Elvis Andrews, they got hit a home run last night. Matt Olson's 283 batting average, 28 homers, 76 RBIs. Then you got Chris Bassett, who pitched beautifully today. He's 12-3 with just over a 3.0 ERA on the year. And Lou Trevino has 19 saves on the year with a 1.81 ERA. So watch out for this Oakland A's team as they come up, this remaining 2 months of the season. The other team I told everybody to watch was the Atlanta Braves. Now, the New York Mets took a doubleheader today, so they moved back within a half game of first place behind the Philadelphia Phillies. Unfortunately, the Atlanta Braves got whooped today by the Cincinnati Reds, though they fell only 1 game back of the race in the AL East. The NL East. What a tight division that is in the NL East with the Mets, the Braves, and the Phillies. Now, the good news for the Braves is they're getting people back, and one of those guys they're getting back is all-star power hitting catcher Travis Darnaud. He'll be returning this week. They have Austin Riley already, batting .292, 23 homers, 70 RBIs. What can you say about first baseman Freddie Freeman, .292, 23 homers, 63 RBIs. Charlie Morton, they got in the offseason to help him out as a number 1 pitcher. Well, he's performing like it. He's 10-4, 3.52 ERA. They got Max Fried in the starting rotation at 9-7, and Drew Smiley, got to see him actually pitch twice last week, is having a terrific season. Former Tampa Bay Ray, he's 8-3, and then of course their closer Will Smith has 23 saves. So this is another team, the Atlanta Braves. And let's go ahead and see if we can find out tomorrow. Let's see. The Braves are playing the Nationals. So you got another good series. The Braves are Nationals. Nationals are not playing that well right now. So this is a team that should be able to take advantage of a very weak national teams. Meanwhile, we talk about the Red Sox, who are 5 games behind the Rays. They're going to be playing the Baltimore Orioles. The Mets will be playing the Dodgers, while the Athletics go to Texas and play the Rangers. We're trying to see the Braves. I'm trying to see, are the Braves, are they off tomorrow? I know there's a couple teams on a Friday that are off tomorrow. No, the Braves, we already said, are playing the National. The Phillies are playing the Reds. So the Reds and Phillies, and the Reds have been playing pretty well. They whooped up on the Braves today. So if the Reds, who come to Philadelphia tomorrow, can win a couple of games there, that NL East is just going to get tighter and tighter and tighter as we go into, the middle of August here. So when you look at the standings here, folks, the East, like I said, Tampa Bay up by 5 games over the Red Sox. The White Sox up by 11 games over Detroit. Houston, we already said, is up by 1.5 over Oakland. The Phillies, Mets, and Atlanta all within 1 game in the NL East. The Central, Milwaukee has a nice lead on the Chicago Cubs by 8 games. And San Francisco has a 4.5 game lead over the Dodgers. Now, in the wild card, for those of you interested, the Oakland A's have the first spot. The Boston Red Sox have the second wild card. Yankees are 1.5 game out. 2 games out for Toronto, and Seattle's hanging in there 4.5 games behind. As far as the National League wild card, it looks like the 3 teams in the West are going to make it this year. You got San Francisco leading the division. The Dodgers have the first wild card. San Diego has the second. Cincinnati's 4 games out in the wild card. So that's how that looks when we look at the wild card standing. For those of you, if anybody wants to call in, talk some Rays baseball, don't be shy here. Our number here, let me see if I can pull it up for you. As I look for, there it is. I knew I had it. There's our call-in number, 813-922-9810. If you want to go ahead and get in on the show, talk about some baseball, Tampa Bay Rays. We do have Bucks football, which we will definitely be talking a lot about next week as we move into some of our football shows. On Tuesday night, we do college football, and Wednesdays and Thursdays. We're going to have a new schedule. We'll get that schedule out to you after our network decides exactly what it's going to be. Once again, for those of you folks watching, if you're not watching the live show on our YouTube channel, that means you're probably not a member yet of our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, type in Frankly Speaking Sports. You type in Frankly Speaking Sports, and you know what happens? You go ahead and subscribe. It is completely free. There's also a bell. You hit the bell, and it'll let you know when we go live on Frankly Speaking Sports. Once again, it is completely free. We are trying to switch over to the YouTube platform. So I ask all you folks that are watching, if you happen to be on another network getting the YouTube feed tonight, just take a moment, go over to YouTube, and go ahead and subscribe. It's like I said, it is free. And a couple of great things about YouTube, folks, is that if most of us, as we transition our old TVs to new TVs, they are smart TVs, which means that you can actually pull up YouTube on your TV while you sit on your sofa, while you sit on your love seat, or while you sit on your recliner, and you can go ahead and watch this on TV, on YouTube Live. We are now on YouTube Live, or you can watch the pre-recorded show on YouTube Live as well, because when you go to our YouTube group and you type in Frankly Speaking Sports, it gives you all the previous shows that we have done with Frankly Speaking Sports, whether it's our Bullseye show, whether it's our Pigskin Thursday shows, whether it's our college football scores. Go ahead, enjoy it, and we'd love to have you as a member of our YouTube channel. Also, folks, as you can see as I move this phone number away, we have a Twitter account. We do a lot of retweeting. Right in parentheses is the Twitter account at Larry Frankus. That is the Frankly Speaking Sports Twitter account. Go there, become a member. Once again, these are free, folks. We try to do everything for free for you. No charges. So we want you to enjoy our show, and we hope you really do. Now, one of the big debates that I have, and I want to see, I left some of it on my phone notes because it's been disturbing to me. Let me see if I can find it. All right. I had it here. Let me get it. Because every time I want it, it doesn't come up here. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, and one of the big things, folks, that a lot of people see, I don't want my... All right, there we go. We'll see if that holds up there. Is that I have had a big debate with people, and I'd love to get your opinion. You can leave a message here. Doesn't matter if you're on the live or the video replay of this show. But one of the things that one of the things that I've been telling people is there's actually quite a few members right now of the Hall of Fame that some people can question whether they should be in it or should not be in it. But on the other hand, there's some people not in the Hall of Fame, and I'm not talking about the Pete Roses or the Roger Clemens or the Barry Bonds, who, have done something to hurt the integrity of the game of baseball. I am talking about people that have proven that they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, and for some reason, the Baseball Writers Association cannot figure it out. You got to wonder sometimes how they go about voting, because it's just ludicrous how this individual player is not in the Hall of Fame. And it's a pitcher. And we all know that the magic number usually for a pitcher to get into the Hall of Fame is 300 victories. But I'm going to tell you something, folks. With the way that Major League Baseball is performing now with the openers and guys not really going 5 innings, that's going to be changing soon, because it's going to be real difficult for these players to get 300 wins. But a gentleman who played in the 70s, it started in the 60s, we've had him on this show before. We were very lucky to have him on, is Tommy John, who pitched for the Yankees, who pitched for the Dodgers and a couple other teams as well, as you know. But Tommy John has a record of 288 wins, 231 losses. Okay? So it's about, when you look at it, you say over 500. He was 12 wins shy of 300. But listen to this number, folks. 188 no decisions. Okay, for those of you not familiar with no decisions, what that pretty much says in a different type of language is that he kept his team in another 188 games that they had a chance to win. That is incredible. Now listen to this also. 162 complete games. Want to put that in specifics? Real simple. If you want to understand that, that means he pitched one full season of complete games during his career. A Major League Baseball season is 162 games. He has 162 complete games. Okay? He has 2,200 strikeouts, and he's pitched in 760 games. Now, things you may not have known about Tommy John is he had a 26-year career. Only Nolan Ryan had a longer career, which was 27 years. Tommy John ranks 8th all-time in career starts, behind people like Cy Young, Nolan Ryan, Don Sutton, Greg Maddux, Phil Niekro, Steve Carlton, and Roger Clemens. Incredible pitchers. Everyone but Clemens in the Hall of Fame. Tommy John is one of the best left-handed pitchers of all time. He has thrown the 7th most victories. He's right behind famous pitchers like Lefty Grove, Randy Johnson, and Tom Glavine. Tommy John, like I said, completed 162 complete games. Tommy John had a 13-3 record with the LA Dodgers before the All-Star game in 1974. Tommy John had won 124 games before his elbow surgery, and he only took one season off to rehabilitate. Tommy John pitched a full season right after his Tommy John surgery. He had 4 great consecutive seasons from 1977 to 1980, 21-9 in 79, 22-9 in 80. The average is out to roughly 20-9 for 20 wins and 9 losses for those 4 seasons. He pitched in 3 World Series. Okay? He was named to 4 All-Star teams. Okay? That is incredible, and he is not in the Hall of Fame. It doesn't make sense how a pitcher can be so successful like Tommy John and he's not in the Hall of Fame. You got to really question how baseball sometimes does things. But, he's one of the individuals that I say definitely needs to be in the Hall of Fame. And I know we've had Vader Pinson, the son of the great Vader Pinson, on our show before to talk about why he thinks his dad, who was one of the great outfielders of his era in the late 60s, should be in the Hall of Fame. We had Tommy John on. And, another person that I think should be, and we'll talk about him another night, is Dave Parker, too. When you look at, we have the luxury of having Glenn Wilson on tonight in about 3 minutes. And let me tell you what, you talk about great outfielders with great arms. Glenn Wilson was one. But boy, Dave Parker was one too. If you remember the All-Star game and other games that he played in, he was just amazing. As I'm looking at my phone to make sure Glenn should be on within about 3 minutes, so I don't want to get too deep into a subject here before Glenn comes on. But we'll go ahead and have him on, and then we'll take some calls afterwards. Like I said, I know this is the first time we're doing a solo shot of just YouTube Live. So for those folks that want to interact and get on the show and be live, you'll need to, by next time, be subscribed to our YouTube channel, Frankly Speaking Sports. And by doing that, you'll become a member. You'll be notified when we're going live, and then you will not have to worry. You can interact live. Now, in the event you're watching this on a tape, which means if you're on Frankly Speaking Sports on Facebook, maybe Crew Life on Facebook, or maybe on Twitter, you're watching our YouTube feed, that's okay. You can still leave comments and we'll get them. We'll just have to get back with you on them because we are not live. But once again, go to our YouTube channel, Frankly Speaking Sports, subscribe. It is completely free. I want to make sure everybody knows that. So we really do not have a reason not to go ahead and do this, as it will be free for you all. After the interview with Glenn Wilson, we should have a little bit of time left in the show. If you want to jump on board, give us a phone call. And call 813-922-9810. Anything you want to talk about in relation to sports. I know a lot of our show tonight has been baseball, but we're gearing up for the start. The NFL game, there's another one tonight. But, preseason is starting in full force. Everybody's playing this week. So, we will have next week be talking lots and lots and lots of football. Whether it's college football beginning August 28th, and then, of course, preseason already beginning with the start of preseason games, and then leading up to the Dallas Cowboys at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Game 1 on a Thursday night. I believe that is September 9th. So a lot going on in the world of sports. We're trying to keep you updated. Know a lot of people got to see not just the beginning, but I've been watching the Field of Dreams game tonight with the White Sox and the Yankees. I mean, love to hear your thoughts. I thought it was tremendous the way they handled that at the beginning with Kevin Costner and the players coming out of the cornfield. So just a great, great job by Major League Baseball. Right now, they're in the bottom of the 6th inning right there, and the White Sox are winning 7-4. So we have you updated on everything, folks. Let me go ahead and move some of this stuff around. All right. And it is my great honor, thrill, and pleasure to introduce to you former Major League Baseball right fielder and 1985 All-Star for the Philadelphia Phillies. Let's welcome in Glenn Wilson. Glenn, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. How y'all doing?
We're doing good, buddy. Let me move this around a little bit. There we go. Now we got you a little bit better there, my friend. All right. Hey, Glenn, let me ask you. We're in August. Let's call it the middle of August. We're close enough. If you were on one of the teams, obviously teams now that are in the race, they're fighting for wild cards, they're fighting for division titles. But, I don't think a lot of the fans understand that even those teams that are not in the race, these players still have a lot to play for because a lot of them are playing for jobs.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're 15 games out, if you're 2 games out. You're playing for a lot of the guys are playing for next year's contract. Not everybody's Bryce Harper. So those guys right there are on the cusp, kind of like I was after the 84 season. So in 84, I had that really bad year. I'd just been traded over. So it was do or die for me in 1985. So I was either going to be in the big leagues and playing every day, or I was going to be out of baseball because I was in that would have been my 4th full season.
Right. Now, you start off in Detroit. Your first rookie year, you bat 292. And then the next year, you hit 268, 11 homers, 65 RBIs. Everything's starting to come through. And then you traded. Were you surprised that you were traded?
No, the talk had started after the 83, or actually during the second half of the 83 season. The rumor mill was rampant because you had Howard Johnson, remember the Met great home run hitter, and
Yep.
I come up together. So the big decision was who they going to keep in right field. Would it be myself? Would it be Kirk Gibson? Now, at the time, obviously, Gibson being from Michigan, you're going to keep him, but he hadn't done anything yet. He's been there 4 years now and hadn't done anything, striking out constantly, but you could see the potential. So, obviously they made the right decision for 1 year, but after that, it took them another, I think it was 14 years before they even got back to a World Series. So, when you make moves like that, like Sparky and I, we really didn't get along anyways because I was that kid that was green. He didn't like rookies, number one. And then number two, there I am, this very confident player. And I didn't shy away from the media back then. I made sure that if I was asked a question, I answered it honestly. And that got me in trouble with Sparky. And I got in his doghouse. All because, well, you got to remember, I'm a 23-year-old kid, and I get to Detroit, and all of a sudden, I'm hitting over 400 after my first 2 weeks in the big leagues. And then he goes to send me down because I've got 2 options left. Because now those outfielders that were hurt when he needed me and Howard Johnson, he had to send us down. Well, I didn't understand that. I thought, well, that's why you drafted me as your number 1 pick, was to get to the big leagues. So I'm here, I'm doing well. Why am I being sent down? And I actually quit. I actually told Sparky that, well, if you're sending me down, I'm going home. And I took my uniform off as I was walking off the field. And if it hadn't been for Roger Craig stopping me after I got dressed, because I was coming home. Back then, I was making $33,000, and I could work in the chemical plant here and make that. So I went up. Roger Craig said, will you go up to Jim Campbell's office? And I said, yeah, okay. So I go up to Jim Campbell's office, the GM, and he explained how baseball worked. And then I realized, oh, okay, now I understand. I have options. They don't. They got guaranteed contracts of $300,000 and $400,000. Larry Herndon, Jerry Turner, you had Chet Lemon, and you had Kirk Gibson. So you had four outfielders already. So I was the odd guy out. It didn't matter if I was hitting 500 with 5 home runs already. So once I understood the game, I was okay with that. I wasn't happy, but I was okay.
Right. Now, you were a solid 265 lifetime hitter, but, you were also known to have one of the better arms in all of Major League Baseball. A couple things I want to ask you about the defensive side of it. First of all, how much, satisfaction did you get out of pegging a guy at home plate? And then talk about the year where you threw, you think after throwing one runner out at first base, people would get the idea, but you threw 3 runners out at first base in the same year.
Yeah. What happened was I was type A personality. I would get bored in the outfield, even in right. And I noticed playing at the vet on the AstroTurf, the ball got to me quicker. And that fact alone made me realize with my arm, I can make stuff happen out here. I can bait guys on that ball that would be hit down the first base line and hit the corner. I had the ball girl actually move towards the field if the ball was going to hit the corner as I'm sprinting over, to the line to get the ball. Well, if she came forward, I knew it was going to hit the corner, and I could take the angle and cut it off, spin, wheel, make the throw to second base, and possibly get an assist there. So then you had the other factor. If she stepped backwards, I knew the ball's going to the fence. So now I can cut it off, hit the cutoff man, and have a chance to get the runner at third if he's fast enough to try for a triple. So the throwing at first base actually started because I recognized the speed of the game in the National League with all the turf fields. And I just loved it. And I could see and sense the fans' excitement when a base hit was hit to right with a runner at second base. And so all of a sudden I realized, my pitchers, Charlie Hudson, Kevin Gross, even Carlton, would pitch away with 2 strikes. So I knew that if they got the hitter, didn't matter who it was, especially Keith Moreland, they're going to punch the ball to right field. So I would cheat in and try to get that ball on one hop and make the throw to first base. So I ended up getting, 3 guys in 1 year. And then later on, I got another guy when I was, Dennis Seckersley, a pitcher. I had a chance one time to get Nolan Ryan, but I thought, I might not ought to make that throw and get him because I still had 6 innings to face him possibly, and I didn't want to lose my head.
So talk
But,
about
yes,
talk
I
about
loved throwing. I literally loved it.
Yeah, and you did it real well. Talk about 1985. You have an unbelievable year. You bat 275, 14 homers, you over 100 RBIs. Before we talk about the All-Star game that you went to, talk about what seemed to be different that year, or what was it that finally clicked in your head that got you going?
It was the fact that I was hitting in the 5-hole behind Mike Schmidt. Okay. And by the end of May, he was hitting a $181, I think is what it was. And every time I came to the plate, it seemed like either the bases were loaded or there were runners in scoring position. Now, I never in my life had thought of driving in 100 runs. Never thought about that. I just liked playing baseball. I liked attention. I was the baby of the family. I had an older brother that shoved the game down my throat, which helped me know the game really well. So what I did was just started getting all these doubles with runners at second and third, and realized at the All-Star break, I'm at 64 RBIs, I think it was. Yeah, 64 at the break, and I'm thinking, well, that's okay. But I remember, 84 was so bad. I had actually made a statement to one of the channels there in Philadelphia. I think it was Channel 4, with one of the sportscasters. It wasn't Howard, but it's somebody else, because Howard was doing radio. But I actually told them that you will see a different Glenn Wilson this year. So I actually prophesized I was going to have a good year. Now, I didn't know Schmidt was going to struggle like that. So by Schmidt struggling, it gave me an opportunity to drive in runs. Then, towards the end of the year, I'm at 91, going into Chicago with, I think, 12 games left. And I hit a home run and grand slam in the first game of a 4-game series in Chicago. So now I'm at 96. I'm like, oh, I got this now. I go to Montreal. I didn't drive in anymore in Chicago. I drove in one in Montreal, and then we had a 4-game series with Pittsburgh to end it. And I get to 100, and then I get to 102, and we still had a game left. But John Felsky came to me and said, do you want to take a night off? And I'm like, yeah, I kind of do. And because we had celebrated really hard after my 100th RBI. I mean, the whole team, everybody, they were thrilled for me, where I was just like, this was supposed to happen. But looking back at it, I go, that's probably the worst thing that could have happened, because now they're going to expect that. So, but here's what it did do that nobody ever brings up. The next year, I'm hitting behind Schmidt now again, 1986. Guess what? He gets his third MVP because he's got somebody behind him that can drive in 100 runs. So it worked out good for me because I got a guaranteed contract for 3.5 years and ended up being 4 or 3 years and an option, which ended up, the option got picked up. So, and it worked out for Schmidt because he got his third MVP, and that locked him for the Hall of Fame. 500 home runs was going to lock him, but that locked him up right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also had a great year defensively. You had 30. I'm sorry, 18.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Was that?
No,
okay.
I was making sure you could hear me. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You had 18 assists, right? In that year. Talk about your All-Star experience. You make the All-Star, the only time making the All-Star game. What was that like playing amongst all the best players in the Major League Baseball?
Only time I'd ever been nervous for any athletic event. And you got to remember, I played 4 sports in high school. Joe Namath was my hero. I played basketball. I pole vaulted. I high jumped. I could slam dunk a volleyball when I was a junior in high school. I was, winning all kinds of awards for football, baseball, basketball, track. I went to college on a football scholarship. Started as a freshman at wide receiver. Made all conference as a freshman in football. Baseball, the only reason I got into playing baseball in college was the receivers coach. I was a receiver, asked me to play, and I asked him. I said, "Well, will it get me out of spring football?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, I'll play." So I didn't have to go lift all the weights and do all the running. Got to go over there and hang out with the lazy group, and baseball just came easy to me because I had an older brother that was 8 years older than me that made me start playing at 3.5 through age 16 with him because he wanted to be the next Mickey Mantle. And so I didn't have a choice. It was either play and get beat up or get beat up. So I chose to play because he was the meanest guy in our town, which was 15 minutes from where the Astrodome would be built. And my father had passed away when I was 5 years old, so I didn't know him. I only knew my older brother, my mother, who was an athlete. She was an all-state basketball player in Mississippi, 5 years. That means in the 8th grade, she was on the varsity basketball team and was all-state 5 years. She played pro basketball, and she was a woman that was an athlete. She played league softball into her 40s, and there was no, huggy, feely, lovey dovey. It was, hey, suck it up, grind. I remember I was going to pitch an all-star game in Little League, had 104 fever. She wrapped me up in blankets to kill the fever, and I went out and pitched. I mean, there was no day offs. And that's what carried me through my entire career is that, I mean, if I was hurt, I would sneak off to a doctor and get a shot of cortisone, something to numb it up. And I was going to play. The only time I was mad about baseball was if I wasn't in the lineup. And I had to hide it. That's hard to do.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Well, talk about your success versus Randy Johnson. You hit the first 2 homers ever offered that he's ever given up was to you. Then the following year, early in the year, you hit another homer off him. What was it? The fastball? Was it, or just you just loved facing him?
No, actually, it was his first game. Okay, my first at bat, I hit a fastball for a homer, the left center. Next at bat, he throws me a slider. I hit it out. So, yeah, I mean, I loved it didn't matter lefty or righty. If they threw over the top and threw hard, oh, I love that. Especially if they threw a curveball. If they threw a slider, I had to work a little harder mentally. But if they were fastball, curveball guys, I felt pretty good about that. But
talk about the first time you got the pitch in the major leagues. You were playing the New York Mets. Now, you said you were nervous when you were in the All-Star game. You telling me you weren't nervous when you were on that hill?
Not a bit. No. I was actually imitating Nolan Ryan. When I would play catch in between innings, I would pretend I was pitching every inning. So, no, that's what I tell kids to this day. If you hope, if you think, or if you worry, you might as well quit because you're not going to make it. You got to have what I call the I know factor. And even if you have that, you're going to end up with a career like mine. 10 years, one All-Star game, fortunate to be Philly of the Year 1 year. But you're going to be in the lineup a lot if you figure out a way to do something defensively that helps keep your team in the game, because it is a team game. Even though today's game is more of a home run game, you're going to be in that lineup if you're hitting home runs or you're doing something defensively. That's what's going to keep you in the lineup. And then they're going to ask you, hey, or tell you, we're going to give you a day off. I never had a manager except one, John Felsky, tell me that, look, unless you come to me, you're going to be in the lineup every night. You drove me in 100 runs in 85. In 86, you're going to be in the lineup every day. Well, I was in the lineup every day. And the only coach that I'll ever give any credit to that helped me was Dave Bristol. Dave Bristol was the third base coach in 1985. He called my oldest brother and asked him what made me tick. And he told him, piss him off. Just piss him off. Because if he made me mad, I was going to play even better. And for some reason, I couldn't figure it out. Dave Bristol, every week, at least twice a week, sometimes 3, would go out of his way to piss me off. And at the end of the year, I gave him a really nice tip because I realized what had happened. I talked to my brother, and he said, yeah, he called me. So I owe Dave Bristol. And, the correlation between him and Sparky Anderson was never good because all those players in the 72, 73, 74 Reds, Dave Bristol had in the minor leagues at each level. Bristol got fired. Sparky inherited all those players. Morgan, Perez, Rose, you had Cepeda. I mean, they were loaded. You had Bobby Tolan. You had Bill Goetz. You had all the pitching also. So Sparky inherited that. And then when Sparky got to Detroit, his ego got really big. And he and I, it was a good thing I was traded. He and I would have come to blows.
So who was your favorite manager you ever played?
Paul Lowens, the Pope. Yeah. He left me alone. He let me play. He put me in left field where I wasn't comfortable, though. That was the only thing. He did not know my arm. He didn't know I had that arm yet. For some reason, all he was hoping, I think the Phillies were hoping they were getting either a 290 hitter or a 25 home run guy, because you got to remember, I hit 12 home runs with 350 something at bats my rookie year, then 11 home runs my second year, hitting me out of 5, 7, 8 hole. And we knew in Detroit in '83, we finished 4 games back of Baltimore, who beat the Phillies in the '83 World Series. So we knew we were good, but I just happened to be the guy that was the trigger to get him Willie Hernandez. And, so that's just how God wanted it to work out.
Yeah. Now, who was the toughest pitcher you ever faced?
It's easy. Tom Glavine, Steve Trout, any lefty that turned it over and kept it away from me, and threw slow. I wasn't a patient guy. I couldn't stand there and take strike one. No, I was geared fastball. I needed guys that threw hard. If you were going to rest me against a lefty like Glavine, like Smoke. Even Greg Maddux, because the way he could make the ball move late, kept it down, knee high. You give me the guys that do the high fastball, letter high. Those were the guys I was going to get, and over the top curveballs, or 60-40. What's it called? 1 to 3 curveballs or sliders. Not the guy that throws the 3 to 6 slider or 3 to 9 slider. The ones that slid straight across the plate, they gave me trouble. Righties that had that break, they gave me trouble. Cecilio Guante, guys like that. But and anybody that threw slow. Like you go into Wrigley Field, the wind's blowing in, you got Steve Trout pitching, the grass is up to your ankles. You got to run it first. I was pretty much a 6-4-3 guy right there. And I was going to ground out. Double play. We're gone.
Let me ask you this. Do you like what the game has evolved in today, or did you like it better when you played?
Oh, no, I like today's game. Oh, I would have. Oh, shoot. Staying on your back leg and getting to launch. I mean, that's what I'd done my whole life. But when I got to the National League, in the American League, you could do that because the ballparks were shorter. National League, I mean, those were big ballparks in my day. I would love today's game. I tell you what, I would love to manage in today's game because of the way the players are made now. They're made just like I was as a kid. You know, they're staying on that back leg. You're talking launch angle. I know exactly what they're doing. It's easy to see. So, yeah, I mean, today's game, if I'm a fan, of baseball year round, shoot, and live close to the ballpark, I'd be there every night.
Now, do you still pull for the Phillies?
Oh, absolutely. Hey,
So what do you think of this year? I like it. Yeah.
there, baby. I got one, so I'm tickled to death.
And I mean they're right now they're right in first place by a half game over the Mets.
Yes.
How do you look at them finishing this year?
Oh, as long as they're pitching, the bullpen, Middleton needs to tell those guys to get to work, fix that bullpen, especially middle and late relief, because you got the offense, you got the defense, you got pitching. Pitching is what secures games.
Right.
That secures wins. Hitting and offense can get you wins. Pitching secures wins. So you got plenty of starters. I mean, so I'm like looking at y'all and I'm going, you know what? In that Philly World Series.
Yep. I mean, they got a good team. What do you think of Girardi?
I love Girardi. Are you kidding?
I mean, I liked him when he was with the Yankees. I knew they got a good manager when they got him.
I liked him in New York. He's not a Philly guy. You got to understand Philly fans. You got to love the fact that their passion runs so deep that they may cut your throat if you do the wrong thing. You got to learn to accept that. I don't know if Joe's done that yet. You got to be tough. You got to be a fighter if you want to play in Philly. Come on, man. Look, they've made a statue of a guy that made a movie about a fighter, Rocky. Come on. You got to fight if you're going to play for a Philly team or manage the Phillies. You got to fight. You can't go out there and be nice to them umpires. I mean, they're mad already, those umpires. You got to know how to work them as much as you do your own players. But you got to be able to call their home and find out what are they made of? What is inside that heart? What's in there? Do I have a Glenn Wilson or do I have a Steve Jeltz, Jeff Stone, easy going, Milt Thompson, go along to get along guy? You give me those guys, I'll show you guys that are going to finish 500 maybe. You give me guys like Mike Smith that's going to fight you to the end, Gary Maddox, Steve Carlton, Tug McGraw, that fight to the bitter end, Darren Dalton, you're going to win. You're going to win because they're going to research and do their homework about their own players. Middleton needs to go to work and, make a move here for the pitching. Let's secure victories.
Last question before I let you run.
Okay.
Has Bryce Harper been everything you thought he would be?
I think so. Yeah, I think he has. I worry, of course, but I'm not around him. I've never met him, but you got to remember that guy had so much hype before he ever even got there. They were showing his high school home run derby games on television.
Yep.
That guy was made to play in the big leagues. He's a player, man. Yeah, he's a gamer. He'll fight. He fought somebody, what was it? Papelbon. He fought him tonight. So, yeah, he's everything. He's everything, and he can be more. The thing you got to watch for is the guys that are making the money, are they still going to hit the gym in the off season? That's what it's about now. Today's game is about the gym. When I came up, Sparky did not allow weights. We couldn't lift weights. Illegal. Gone. If you were caught lifting weights, cut your throat. Gone. Today's game, different story.
Yep. Well, listen, Glenn, I want to thank you very much for allowing me the time to speak to you tonight on Frankly Speaking Sports.
I've enjoyed it.
All right, my friend, stay safe and good luck to your Phillies.
Thank you. Tell my Philly fans I still love them. I miss them.
All right, my friend, thank you. That was Glenn Wilson, former Major League Baseball outfielder and all-star right fielder for the Philadelphia Phillies. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you liked our show tonight on YouTube. For those of you folks want to tune in next time, we will be back Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We hope to see you then. Until then, have a good night, a great weekend, and be safe.